Hey, what's up, guys? What's going on? Apologies if I sound tired. It's 7 a.m. recording early because work is a thing, right? But let's get on to the topic, and that is the fact that Nintendo is kind of just doing nothing for the most part. I'm sure there's reasons, and I'm sure there will be announcements very soon, but I do kind of want to talk about my, I guess, frustration with them right now, which is very rare because typically I love Nintendo and they're my favorite of all the companies, but there's just not really much going on right now. And unless there's some kind of announcement soon, which there probably will be, you know, this video is probably going to be outdated very quickly. Let's be realistic here, right? If it is, then I'm sure there's going to be comments letting me know that, hey, this video is outdated now. You know, I just kind of wanted to open up a little bit about like my frustrations at this particular moment, because unless you've played Xenoblade and Animal Crossing, there was nothing, right? And I played Animal Crossing, don't get me wrong, and there's people still playing Animal Crossing. I've seen people with like hundreds of hours on that game already. I think I'm just a bit over 100, and I played it and I stopped playing it. And Xenoblade, I love Xenoblade. It's probably one of my top JRPGs of all time. It is my favorite JRPG of all time, actually. So I love that game. You know, there's no complaints there in terms of the quality of those two games. It's just where we stand right now. There pretty much is nothing. I think Deadly Premonition 2 just released to kind of mixed reviews, although from what I've seen from the fan base, that was kind of expected. So I guess you can take that however way you want. I've never played any Deadly Premonition games, or I guess the first one, because there was only one. So maybe I'll take a look at that. I don't know. Ninjala was a thing, but a free-to-play game is not exactly a big title to me. And I guess, like, depending on who you are, you could consider Paper Mario to be a big thing. And if that's the case, that's the only game left to really look forward to. But here's the thing. I didn't really grow up with Paper Mario. As scandalous as that may be to the Nintendo fan base, but I didn't really grow up with those games. I don't really have a connection to those games. And so I don't really care about those games. And even if you did grow up with those games, it seems to be a pretty... there's a pretty good controversy when it comes to the more modern ones. So people are kind of arguing about that in itself. So you have to understand that from my perspective, there's pretty much nothing coming out. Like, I have literally nothing to come, you know, to Nintendo for. Like, there's nothing to go to Nintendo for the rest of this year that I'm aware of, right? There's probably games that Nintendo has planned for this year and I just don't know them, and if that's the case, cool. But I don't know if I'm gonna like them. I don't know what they are. We know Bravely Default 2 and No More Heroes 3 are supposed to come out this year, but we just don't know when they release. Now here's the thing. I played the Bravely Default 2 demo and I thought I would love it, and I don't. So I don't really look forward to that game, personally speaking. If you do, cool. You know, have fun with it. I just didn't care too much about it. And No More Heroes 3, I definitely do look forward to. I love the first two games. But other than the weird antics that Suda51 has been doing, like in the Devolver digital stream and in the New Game Expo, there really hasn't been much on that either. Not really. And I really want that game. Trust me. That's once we get a release date for that game, it's, you know, pre-orders and all that stuff. You know, whatever the case is, like, I'm gonna be into that game. I love No More Heroes. We just don't know when that's coming out either. So that could be delayed. That could come out this year, right? That could. I just don't know. And as a Nintendo fan, I don't really have anything to look forward to. And all the talk is pretty much Xbox Series X, PlayStation 5, and you know, that makes sense. You know, those are big releases coming out, so I understand why those would take up like a majority of the thinking space when it comes to gaming. And I do play everything. Nintendo's just kind of my favorite one. I do play PlayStation, you know, evidently by the Last of Us thing behind me, so you can kind of tell I do. I also play Xbox. I play PC every once in a while. So I do play other games. So it's not like I have literally nothing to play. I am playing other games while, you know, in the process of making this video and doing what I do. And when it comes to my favorite company, Nintendo, yeah, that's pretty much nothing. And I guess the point of this video is just to say Nintendo should really announce something soon. Very soon. In fact, recently, I had a conversation with Andres Restart and What About Nintendo on the Andres Restart podcast. If you're unaware, check out Andres Restart. Cool podcast, does it every Sunday, I believe, and it was good stuff. But we had a conversation about this very topic, and it just feels like there has to be some kind of announcement soon, whether that be a direct, whatever the case may be, about something. Because we had the Nintendo Treehouse thing, but the way I look at it, that doesn't really count, because the Treehouse pretty much is focused on one game, Paper Mario, which again we've already established is not a game that I particularly care for. And then you have then they had the Way Forward Bakugan thing, and that clearly annoyed a lot of people, considering like the drought that we are in terms of Nintendo games. And I don't think a lot of people really care too much about Bakugan. I'm definitely not one of those people who care about Bakugan. So that, that's what it is. So, and then you have the whole Pokemon Unite thing also pissing people off. So you have the Bakugan announcement pissing people off. It's just kind of like constantly Nintendo's annoying people. And I get that Pokemon Unite is more Pokemon Company and Tencent. That's not really Nintendo's thing, considering it is affiliated with Nintendo. Some people kind of get their wires crossed and start making assumptions based on that. So the public reception right now when it comes to Nintendo is, I think it's just indifference, because so many people are focused on the new consoles coming out that the lack of games coming from Nintendo just seems so low, right? And mind you, I understand that this may not be a problem for like everyone, right? Because if you're somebody who liked Animal Crossing, Xenoblade, Deadly Premonition, Ninjala, Paper Mario, if you're into all that stuff, it could seem like you have a lot of games coming out. For me in particular, I had two. They came out a while ago already. And Deadly Premonition, I'm not sure about. Ninjala is a free-to-play game, so I played it for like one day and then I was done. And then we have Paper Mario, which I just don't follow, right? So typically I play most of Nintendo's IPs. I think it just happens to be the case of like Deadly Premonition doesn't really, I didn't really know much about it. And Paper Mario, it just happens to be one of those franchises that I just never followed. I mean, I could become a new fan with it, sure. It's just judging by reactions and whatnot, I'm not sure if this is where I want to start. I mean, it might be, who knows, but didn't really come to mind, right? So I guess you could say, while for me, every year Nintendo has had since the Switch released, there has been some kind of, I want to say, bunch of games that I cared about and I was really very entertained by, whether it be indie games, multiplats, exclusives, whatever, right? And it just seems like 2020 specifically is just not catering to me in particular right now. And I feel like No More Heroes 3 would help a lot with that. News about any other games coming out, because even if you just go by Bravely Default 2 and No More Heroes 3, even though we have Bravely Default 2 and No More Heroes 3, we're talking about two games that we know about from now until the end of the year. There's probably a lot more than that, so we need to see some announcements, because once Paper Mario releases, we know nothing. Literally nothing. So I'm expecting some kind of announcements. That's kind of just how I look at it. I realize this can be very negative for a video, and it feels weird because I'm usually very positive when it comes to Nintendo, but this is the one time that I feel kind of negative when it comes to their particular things. So yeah, so I guess the most I can say is just like, let me know how you guys feel about this year. Do you feel like you have a lot playing on your Switch? Have you been playing on your Switch a lot lately? And if so, what games have you been playing? And even if you have been playing it a lot lately, do you feel like you have a lot to look forward to on the Switch? At least in regards to this year specifically, because to me it just feels barren. And once I got my fill of Animal Crossing, and once I beat Xenoblade, it just felt like there was more or less nothing coming out. But again, you also have to understand this is my personal preference. Deadly Premonition I'm not too sure on, and I don't really have any connection with Paper Mario, so it is what it is, right? I've already seen like a fair share of people just not happy with Nintendo at this point in time. And yeah, I'm indifferent. I've been on my PC and on my Xbox more than any other platform right now. and I've been on PlayStation to play Last of Us. I already beat Last of Us though, but it's not the best. If you want a video off topic on Nintendo and me talking about Last of Us, I can do that. Let me know if you're interested in that as well. But until then, guys, I'll see you guys in the next one.
Shifty, yeah, shifty. Wanna be the #1 gamer? Come and get me. It'd be dope if you subscribe. Could you like the vid, please? Take your time, you don't gotta do it swiftly. Shifty, shifty. Wanna be the #1 gamer? Come and get